Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In this clip, Bishop Barron and Michael Knowles are tackling wokeism. The main culprit, they believe, is Karl Marx. Check this out.
But, you and I have both been longtime critics of wokeism, or call it a sort of popularization of critical theory, call it political correctness. I do think we're at something of an inflection point in the culture. If 2020 was sort of a high watermark of wokeism, that something is shifting around. And I want to get your thoughts on some of the roots of that, because I trace a lot of it back to Marx. Certainly behind critical theory.
Yeah.
If wokeism is popularized critical theory is deeply indebted to Marx. In the Theses on Feuerbach, he has these 11 famous little, pithy remarks the young Marx makes. Number 6 is, there is no human essence.
Yeah.
Human essence, he says, is the ensemble of social relations.
Yeah.
Number 11, the last one, is the most famous. It says, philosophers so far have only interpreted the world in different ways. The point is to change it, right? Well, read those two things together. I think you've got the foundations of wokeism. There is no human nature. There is no human essence. It's simply a matter of the always shifting social relations that we have. What's the point of theoretical speculation, not just to contemplate, is to change the world in accord with these ever-changing, social conditions. Talk about that. I mean, I do think Marx haunts that whole movement.
He does. A specter is haunting America,
Yeah.
and it's the specter of Marx in our culture. Certainly that's true. And you can just trace the intellectual lineage directly back to Marx. That's one of the things I try to do in my book, Speechless, is you can just find the people who really promote critical theory, the Frankfurt School, et cetera.
Yeah.
They are explicitly Marxist. Antonio Gramsci, the Italian communist activist, the author of the Prison Notebooks, famously translated into English by Pete Buttigieg's father, shows you the state of our political
Notre Dame
class.
professor.
That's right, Notre Dame professor. Shows you the state of our Catholic universities, too. You see Marx coming up through the culture in that way. Then you have the 1960s, Herbert Marcuse, who is himself a Marxist, is the father of the New Left. Rudi Deutschke over on the other side of the Atlantic, major leader of the student movement. And so you can really trace it. Critical theory, Kimberly Crenshaw, all of these, Derek Bell, are, in fact, the leaders of BLM called themselves Marxists. So Marx deserves a lot of credit here. But Marx didn't come from nowhere either.
Yeah.
And I know there are a lot of people supposedly on the right who like to pit progressivism or leftism or against true liberalism. We're the great classical good liberals. But it seems to me that when one exalts individual autonomy, when one exalts private judgment above all else, when one says that, when one claims the right to do whatever one wishes, it's not a far leap to get to Marx or to any of the other ideologies that come out of that. It seems to me liberalism remains a major problem. And so when all Marx says is, I'm going to exert the autonomy to conquer human nature. And there is no fixed human essence. It's just the product of social relations. And religion's just part of that anyway. And so we're going to recreate the world anew, and we're going to get rid of philosophy because philosophy's bunk because I don't like it. It's like a petulant little toddler just saying, no, Daddy, I'll do whatever I please. And you saw those petulant toddlers really conquer the culture in the middle of the 20th century.
Do you remember the movie The Shape of Water? It came out several years ago.
Yeah.
I saw that movie with Father Steve, who's the CEO of Word on Fire. And when the movie ended, I turned to him and said, that's going to win the best picture. Because I thought it checked every box, especially the title. And I won't bore people with all the details of the movie, but The Shape of Water, it means no shape except the shape we want to give it.
Yeah.
It's the fluidity of reality. Now, Marx gets it from Hegel in a way, but I think Marx gives a very clear expression. There is no fixed human nature.
Yeah.
It's fluid. It's up to us to decide. Now, look at the woke gender ideology today. It's the same assumption, right? That even my gender, even my body is malleable. You want to keep playing the antecedent game. Go back to the ancient Gnostics, right?
Yeah.
That the real me, it's called the soul or whatever, the real me is buried in here someplace, and the body is just there to be kind of manipulated or escaped from, or it's a problem that it can.
Right. But perhaps even to escape from. Perhaps the body is not even a tool, but it's an evil to be
right.
thrown to the side.
I think that's reasserted itself as well.
Wokeism has its foundation in thinking divorced from God. It's fundamentally antagonistic to reason, and ultimately it promotes self-centered pride. Bishop Barron, drawing on the movie The Shape of Water, illustrates how the loss of a clear sense of identity, grounded in God's creation, has paved the way for the rise of wokeism. When we abandon the idea that our identity is a gift, not a choice, we fall into the trap of believing that we can shape ourselves however we please, which often leads to chaos and confusion. Michael Knowles complements this by showing how this mindset isn't just misguided but profoundly dangerous, unraveling the fabric of reason and community itself. Together they expose how the obsession with self-definition, disconnected from any transcendent source, results in a cultural crisis that only faith in God can heal. So, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, remember, if you want to watch the full conversation, the link is in the description below. Remember that Christianity is Christ, and without Christ, there is no Christianity. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.